Hola, Konnichiwa, Salaam, Ciao Namaste. Peace to all. This is Soulology, the science of the soul. And what we're going to talk about for today is about the importance, why it's not important to be pessimistic, but being cautious. And first of all, what exactly do I mean by that? Behavior wise, you live in a world where, of course, you have optimistic people first off, but you also have a lot of skeptic people, you have a lot of pessimistic people. Now, why exactly did I make it distinctly about pessimism in any sense? The reason why I made it about pessimism, especially in a society you are living in today's world, where you have a lot of people who are divided, as we would say. And of course, this plays a part because we are, in a sense, we're stating it. Words do have an effect on what you say and what you create. And the energy you put into the world is like a network throughout the entire world. Throughout the entire world in a sense, because of, think of all of you as a nerve. And all of that shocks everywhere, allowing, when one word is said that we are divided in a sense, then it's divided everywhere. And of course, not only on top of that, but it's also the action that's taken with being divided in any sense that creates that moment in time, which has led to many people being pessimistic of people around us. We don't trust people. We don't believe in people. Many people, and I've heard this so often, we don't believe in unconditional love. We don't believe love exists. We don't believe we can truly be honest or trustworthy or be able to, be able to trust anyone in this world. And that is looking at the cup half empty type ideology. That is what we call pessimism. So, what exactly is the definition of pessimism in any sense? So pretty much the definition as shown is tending to see the worst aspect of things or believing that the worst will happen. Many of us may see in today's society, due to ideologies of war, ideologies of division, of being homeless, or destruction of countries falling over and collapsing of economy, and so on and so forth. But we're not looking at the other side, and we're not doing a few things. So first off, let's go over 3 things as to why pessimism does not work for the self. And one of the first reasons is because you have to realize, in any sense, seeing the cup half empty, like I was saying earlier, when you're seeing the cup half empty, you're not looking at the other side. You are only, is like one of the movies I explained, and I really have to get the name of this movie. It's on the tip of my tongue. If any of you guys know the name of this movie, it's please put it in the comments. Pretty much it's an alien movie where the guy wears glasses and he can see everything for what it really is. And you see all these aliens who are politicians or powerful people, and he tried to put it on someone else who didn't want it and saw the world for what he thought it was. What we thought was happening in any sense. That's how it's like when you have the ideology of pessimism. And many people might think, like, how would you know, and this and that, because of you're talking about it, how would you know? And the reason I would know is because I personally have experience, because I used to be very pessimistic, very pessimistic, to the point where I had no belief in this world. I didn't believe there were good people out there. I didn't think life was good. I didn't think any of it. And that was years ago, before being who I am in today's society. So, I'm not pessimistic anymore, but one of the things I personally learned in that experience was to see things from both angles, if not all angles. And that is the hardest thing for most of us to see. We only want to see the ugly, but we don't want to see the beauty. It is like the saying, it's like how the saying goes, it is not our light, it is not our darkness, but our light that most frightens us. Our light frightens us the most simply for the fact that if it were to shine, it would terrify the fact that we could do better. And it would terrify the fact that perhaps we made a mistake in our thinking. And many of us do not want to change our thinking psychology-wise, or psychologically better yet, due to the fact that to change not only would mean that we'd have to admit we're wrong, but it would mean stepping out into the unknown. The unknown to us, including myself, even in my own past experiences, is terrifying. To go out somewhere in a way you don't know how to handle it, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to feel, you don't know how to go about anything because it is completely fresh. It's like someone had put all the information you needed on a board. They told you, well, it's all gone. I want you to make the same. Think of it, let me rephrase it. Think of it like simply putting 2 plus 2 equals 4. Someone erases the board and says to you, without using any of the numbers you already know, make 2 plus 2 equals 4 in a sense. Now to you, that might be crazy talk. How am I going to do that if the numbers are there? What would I possibly be able to do that or whatnot? And of course, there are plenty of ways. But it's the unknown. We block our mind and believe immediately that there is no possible way to think in that way. In that sense, it can't be done. So there is no possibility. Or so we think. Your mind plays tricks on you, and you have to understand that you can see the other side. You know. But you have to be willing to be open to that understanding that you could still make 2 plus 2 equals 4. Now, many people I think, oh, that's crazy talk. Well then, if it's crazy talk, I will state this again. Put in the comments down below. Without using 2 plus 2 equals 4, how would you be able to make that 2 plus 2 equals 4? So, now, let's go on to the second thing. Pessimism, which is the fact that of not understanding and understanding self plays a part in all this. If you don't understand who you are, how will you truly be able to understand the world? If you don't understand how you are, how will you be able to possibly understand the world around you? You will not be able to. Now you might be thinking, how do you know that in any sense? Well, think of it like this. Some of the people in the world who've always desired their dreams, their goals to happen in life, have gone forth to work towards them. Many people have gotten to very high success, and many people have gotten to a certain success. Maybe they still desire more. And then there are even people with big dreams that were never able to make them happen and decided to go with what we call a realistic point of view of going towards their goals in life. The problem with this is working on self is vitally important. Being creative, understanding you first. You cannot change anything until you change what's within yourself. You cannot change the world until you change yourself. You cannot love someone truly until you love yourself. And you might think, well, how do you know that? Some of the best couples have been this and that. Okay, perhaps that may be true. But what I mean, in a sense, is at the highest sense of who you are. For example, unconditional love. We live in a world where many people do not believe in that. We live in a world where few do believe in that still, including myself. Unconditional love, genuine, pure love, has no malice, has no concern, but to love itself. And even when others are hurting them, it still looks to love itself, knowing that at least it loved and loves self. When you are learning to love yourself, in any sense, when you are learning to be your wealth, when you are learning to change the world, when you are learning to be your peace within, everything around you without will be much easier for you. But when you are so focused on everything else, the illusions that are around you, whether it's working, going to school, taking care of children, taking care of yourself, exercise or whatnot, if you're so focused on those things that you don't really take time for yourself, it's not really a surprise in any sense if you don't get to where you say you desire to go. The reason why I've gotten to where I desire to go is simply and genuinely because I focus on myself. It has not always been perfect, and for those who've been on this journey, they've partially watched where it hasn't been perfect, where videos haven't come and whatnot. But you have to keep going, and as the saying goes, practice makes perfect, even though you're already perfect. But if you're working towards yourself, then create that perfection within you. But know you are perfection as well. Number 3 is simply this, the last part. You do not observe. You do not observe the simple basis of what's important. I had a conversation with someone, I'd say a few days ago, who wanted to know some information. And one of the things he kept saying was he didn't want me to give him all the information. He wanted me to get to the point. And the thing about life is, if you are not doing the information necessary for yourself, even from what I'm stating right now, if you're not doing the information for yourself, then you're really only seeing one side because of the fact that what you see is what you get in a sense. You believe that's it. That whatever you see out there that's how people are, that's how the world is, there's nothing good about it, I'll never get this, I'll never get that, people are like this, people are like that. Okay, that might be true, but that might not be true. And it's a choice that you create. Again, I state this often, way too often in fact, that everything is relative. And what that means is there is no good or bad. It is whatever choice you really make. It can be good, it can be bad, but that's the illusion that you are playing. Relativity. If it will be or not be good or bad. So, in this relative term, we don't observe everything in a sense. When you are seeing in a pessimistic term that everything is always bad, you're not observing the fact that you can change it if you so desire. No, nothing is perfect. Sometimes it can be what you may call hell. It can sometimes be very tear-jerking. It can sometimes be very frustrating. It can be hurtful. It can be destructive at times. But you have to be willing to look within yourself and observe everything for what it is. Because you never know. It could be maybe a leaf in the wind. Maybe a homeless person who sits next to you. Maybe an old lady. Maybe a puppy who sniffs you, maybe looking at the moon, maybe a book you read, maybe a YouTube video you're watching, maybe an audio book or an a podcast you are watching or listening to, that can change whatever you're looking for, what you're thinking about, what you're finding for self. It can genuinely change that. And it's an incredible thing. It took me several years to change my ideology of pessimism. And this was due to the fact that I personally had to realize, for example, I was helping people out, but they weren't helping me, and I was getting frustrated at the fact of why are people doing this and that? When I need help, nobody cares to help me, and this and that. Me, and me, this and this. And I had to realize that at the end of the day, I don't need anyone, and I can truly be strong on my own when seeing my own strength. And I've watched myself over the years, seeing my own strength, seeing myself grow. Realizing that, and that's why I work to give to people. I don't give to everyone. And that's, again, that depends on what works and what doesn't work for you. My reason for not giving to everyone at times is because of the fact of what works and what doesn't work around the necessary time I'm in. Doesn't mean I won't give, but give or take what is surrounding me and the energy, what I'm working towards. If you ask me, hey, can I borrow $50? What is that going to? I might ask. Or maybe I won't. Or maybe I will. I actually will. But I put a lot of time into perfecting those who work around me. And I put a lot of time into working on my own self to grow. Observe is vitally important, because if you're not observing, if you're not doing taking the time to research things on your own, you are memorizing everything. You're not critically thinking things through as to if this is true or if this is false. Does this work or does this not work? It's simply the fact that, people act this way, people act that way, I just don't understand it. And the more times you tell yourself, by the way, I just don't understand, you will never understand, because you are telling yourself, I just don't understand. I just don't understand. But you do understand. And it takes looking within self. This is why I tell people, take the time to be with who you are. Sit down, go into nature, go to your favorite place, somewhere nice and quiet where you can sit down and be peaceful with yourself. If it's your room, maybe you have a closet or something. Maybe there's an extra room. Maybe it's a friend's place who they let you stay every now and again, and it's nice and quiet. Or maybe it's a library. Who knows? Wherever that place may be, take time to yourself. I've gone through this with many people who have told me before they're going through certain situations and they don't know what to do. And I even went through this with someone a few days ago. Was the simple fact that you have the answers. And what I did was I asked that person at the time in the discussion, well, if you feel, for example, we'll say this person's name is Aaliyah. And Aaliyah was asking me, in a sense, what to do about a friend that she felt was frustrating her, and that friend wanted them to forgive her quickly, but she did not. So Aaliyah, what she did was ask me, in a sense, What should I do? And she was telling me about how she felt and everything. But then it led to, well, my question to you is, because I've stated countless times what works and what doesn't work, what works and doesn't work in this situation that you would feel helps it? Does it work for you to do that, or does it not? And as I explained, does it help you to pretty much forgive, or does it help you not to forgive because you're healing or whatnot and understanding self? And she told me her thoughts on that. And I told her, you see, you have the answer right there. And her thoughts were, well, does it take time? Because I have to work on forgiving, on growing myself and healing my own self. There's the answer. I didn't say the answer. I asked a question which led to her knowing the answer. She knew the answer. She knew the answer, and I didn't have to tell her. And that's the thing you have to realize within yourself, that you know the answer to anything and everything if you really truly set your mind to it and stop believing you don't know what to do or what are etc. etc. Choose to create what you know to do. There have been many people, many leaders, many heroes, as we would say or wouldn't say, many people in our life who have seized the moment to get to where they say they desire to go, which has allowed them to create what they desire. You can do the same, but it's a choice. Are you going to create that moment, or are you choosing not to create that moment? What are you choosing? What are you choosing? We've covered now the 3 parts of why pessimism doesn't work. Now, the one thing I do desire to cover with you guys is simply, why be cautious in the first place? What is the importance of being cautious? Well, if I can't be pessimistic, then why should I be cautious or this and that? Why did I say at the end of the title, be cautious? Because you live in an illusion where you believe everything is bad or everything is frustrating and whatnot, but you don't realize that is illusion. However, be cautious. Yes, there is danger in a sense in the physical world, if you so allow it to be. Hence why you should be cautious. Sorry about that, you guys. Didn't want to make the noise. There was something buzzing around. But being cautious in any sense is to allow there not to be, to realize that you can create what you desire. And if you do not allow something around you, you are cautious enough to evade it, to not allow it to happen. Caution is being aware of what you feel in any sense may be bad or dangerous to you. Are you being aware of those things? Are you being aware of the situations going on around you? You see, for example, in my own experience, I watch a lot of what's going on in the world, period. And to many that might create a negative outlook. But again, we've said this before in the Pink Elf in the Room, for example. There's levels to this shit, and there are levels to how you act and react towards what you see around you. I'm at a level where I see it for what it is and I let it go, because I see it for the illusion. There are certain things that I've watched before, previously, and I had to let it go because it was affecting me in a way that was unneeded for me. So, I stopped watching it. Out of caution for self. When I'm around certain people, and I'm still working on this to this very day, there are certain people that are definitely not good for me to be around due to how they act and how they react towards people. I cautiously evade them or step away from that type of energy because it is not beneficial in any sense to what I am desiring to create in life. Caution allows you to be aware of those things and see them for what they are. So instead of seeing it as all bad, you see it as what works and what doesn't work. Does it work for me to be at this place right now? Probably not, because maybe there's a lot of cops, maybe like let me, for example, give you an example. Let's say you go to a party and the question may be, does it work for you to be at the party? You can go to the party. It's up to you. Me personally, I don't care for parties. I care for events. I don't care for parties. And the reason I may not go to that party is because maybe police are out at this time of night in that area. Maybe might not be a lot of people I don't know or a lot of energy I don't know, and I might not really be concerned with that. And that is my own caution. I may feel in a sense that there's no need for me to be there due to the energy, due to what energy creates, like drinking, drugs, etc. And I don't really care for drugs, and I would say to anyone, say no to drugs. Now, of course, herbs is a whole different discussion, and we'll talk about that in another video about herbs. But as far as anything else goes, if there's drinking, drugs, or whatnot, cigarettes, and on top of that, maybe a certain type of energy around it, I might not be concerned with it, so I cautiously may leave. Or, for example, when you are looking to date someone, there are certain people, for example, you may not desire to date due to how they may act in a sense behavior-wise, what signs they may show behavior-wise. And that doesn't mean you immediately judge them off the bat. But you may observe certain signs that from past experiences allow you to decide that it might not be beneficial for you to be in that experience. And that is a choice you are making. There's nothing right nor wrong about that. That is simply a choice you are deciding to make, give or take what you see in any sense. That in that moment, it creates a situation of, in that moment, it can create a situation where you're seeing things for as they are. But let's get to number one of this. Number one is, on top of this, where I was talking, there is no right or wrong, the duality. Seeing the duality, seeing what you would call the good and the bad, seeing what you would call the love and the hate, seeing what you would call the positive and the negative in things, but you see both of them for what they are and as they are. And you see yourself in that process. Jim Carrey said it best that he thought he was a guy experiencing the world. Now he feels like the world and the universe are experiencing a guy. And I thought that was a beautiful statement in any sense, because that is exactly what is going on. The universe, the world in a sense, is experiencing you as you are, and you have a choice to make on how you go about what you create. Is this going to be a good experience? Is this going to be a bad experience? That's up to you. Whether it's relationships, whether it's going to parties, whether it's trying new things in life, whether it's trying things that might not even be beneficial for you, whether it's trying things that are beneficial for you one way or another. And it doesn't matter one way or another, of course. Well, it does in some ways, because again, it goes back to what works and what doesn't work for you. Does it work or not? Seeing the duality of those two sides for what they are, and knowing what creates self, what creates you, what makes you, what evolves you, what grows you, what progresses you in being who you are in today. Number 2. Understanding and understanding the self, and understanding what works and doesn't work for you. When you are, and we just talked about this, but simply, I'm going to go over this quickly, is the simple fact that if you are not looking within self and understanding that part, you will go without. When you go within, you'll never go without. When you go without, you'll never go within. And it's an interesting way to put it, but it's very true. Because many people do this, and I've met people who've done this, and their lives have been stressed out because of it. But when you don't take time to yourself, you get very stressed, you get frustrated, life just gets irritating, you become irrational, right? I've even seen myself do this a few times. This is why I find it vitally important to meditate every day, no matter what. This is why it's important that I take time to myself every day. Take time to yourself to know who you are. And as for what works and what doesn't work, this leads into what's right and what's wrong. There are no morals. You are allowing yourself to believe in morals to limit what you feel is true or not because someone told you it was true or not. You are limiting yourself by that ideology instead of creating by your own ideology what works for self and doesn't work. It could be, for example, the money you make. You may morally feel that if you don't have a working job, that's not a right way to make money. That's a flawed mistake. If something makes you money and you don't really have to work for it, then it works for that person. That doesn't mean you judge them and immediately say that's the wrong way to make money, because there is no wrong way to make money. The problem is we have so many rules and regulations to believe that there are wrong ways to make money that we believe ourselves that those are the wrong ways to make money. Same thing about being spiritual. Many people will tell you there are ways to go about being spiritual. And of course, this is why I tell people, research, research, research. Even, you don't have to, I'm not telling you to believe anything I say. But I do tell people to research. You might be thinking to yourself, but you said you don't tell anybody what to say. No, I don't. You don't have to research. But if you truly want to understand the information I'm giving you to the highest degree, you might desire to do your own research to understand for yourself, is this true or not? Makes you think. So research everything and understand everything to work towards what helps in working for you and creating your peace, your happiness, your unconditional love within self, and your wealth, your health. your desires. You don't have to live as though you don't have a chance to get to where you say you can't go because maybe you don't have the resources or you don't have the money or whatever. All that is a bunch of fluff. If you really desire something, you will find it. You'd be amazed how many times, even to this day, it throws me off that when I was younger, I thought there were no ways to make money because there was one time I was making a lot of it. And when I see where I am today, it is impressive how easily I can create money. And you can as well. Number three is, of course, adding to the other side, observe everything. See with your own eyes and view how important it is to see things for what they are, not for what you think they are. If I see a mountain in Africa, and I see a mountain in, let's say, the mountain of Mount Everest, and I say the mountain in Africa is much bigger and taller than the one in Everest, that is what I think it is. However, logically speaking, we all know that the tallest mountain is Mount Everest. Because it's observable, we've done the research on it, the length and everything, and how high it goes. So it's known. The same thing with everything going on around you. You can say to yourself that, everything in this world is horrible, no one's a good person, no one cares and everything. First, whoa. First of all, no one's a good person is the first thing you should get out of your mind. But observing, you say no one's a good person, but have you observed good people in a sense? Or better yet, instead of saying good people, have you observed people that have helped grow this world? Genuinely? There are people out there that say I can't find a job because they don't like me because of this or that, because of how I look, my skin, my sex, or whatever. Okay. Have you done your research on finding other jobs? Or better yet, have you done your research on creating your own job? But I don't want to create my own job. It's too much work and this and that. And okay, well, then you have to be with self and understand, what do you truly desire? Do you just enjoy complaining? Or do you truly desire to get to where you say you desire to go? Because complaining will not benefit you. And that's observable. You see what I did there? It's observable that if you feel that way, in a sense, in people who are watching, where you can't get to where you say you desire to go, but you don't want to do this because of this. Remember, you limit yourself. And I've seen people do this before, where they will limit themselves based off of what they morally feel is right for them to get. I've seen people, because they have a degree, they don't want to take a job because it's too beneath them. Okay? If you don't take that job, you won't get to where you say you desire to go. So that job you may be taking may get you to somewhere higher as you keep working. Or better yet, there may be people, for example, who feel like, my business will never take off. Okay, well, have you met the right people around you? Have you put yourself in certain energy? Have you met people that could be beneficial to you? Have you gone to expos or businesses where they discuss and helping businesses? Yes, no. Well, yes, then you might want to either find a new place to find where you can grow your business, or no, you might want to go to a place that can help you for business. These are just examples, by the way. You can use them, though, in everyday life if you so choose to create what you want. But this is all I mean. That's all you have to do is really observe things for what they are, and you'll know the answer. You have to be willing to observe for yourself that you can see the glass half full. Matter of fact, instead of seeing it half full, you can see it as full as you desire if you so choose. You can pour more water if you choose to, but you have to choose what you desire to create in this moment. So, we're ending it here. In conclusion, what does this have to do with the soul? You are choosing to create what you desire in this lifetime. As a human, which you are being. That being said, you have to understand you are making this experience as high as you desire, as low as you desire. If it's low, you're going to continue the life cycles over and over until you get to where you say you desire to go. If you desire to go higher, you will go higher. But it's all a choice. You will constantly evolve no matter what happens, by the way. Because that is just the cycle of life. Period. It's happened through our own world, the evolution of life. Look at us as humans. It's happened to the animal kingdom. And it will happen to you also as a soul, because that is what we truly are as being a soul. Or at least part of what we are. So, I just want you to realize how beautiful, how magnificent, how divine, how creative, how divine you all are as the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. And to everybody out there, remember that to know thyself is to know the creator within, and to have a good morning, a great afternoon, and a fantastic evening. To everybody, peace and namaste.